Today on the Golden Bolt, we tackle the third game in our Kirby's Dream Collection Marathon, and... animals? It's time for Kirby's Dream Land 2 on the Nintendo Game Boy. There's not too much about this game's development history that I can find. Dreamland 2 launched in the spring of 1995 and seems to have been made by a secondary Kirby team within HAL Laboratory. Masahiro Sakurai, Kirby's creator, isn't listed at all anywhere in the credits as he was working on the next game we'll be covering, 1996's Kirby Superstar. After its launch, Dreamland 2 was a great success, selling over 2 million units worldwide. Yet again, the story is in the manual on this one. The 7 rainbow bridges that connect the Rainbow Islands in Dreamland have been stolen, and King Dedede has been possessed by an evil force known as Dark Matter. It's up to Kirby and his new animal buddies to find all 7 rainbow drops, defeat Dark Matter, and save Dreamland. Dreamland 2 follows in the footsteps left by Kirby's adventure, bringing back copy abilities. Really, almost the entire rest of the series brings back copy abilities though, so from here on I'm not going to mention that fact directly. It also brings back that little end-of-level minigame, your health carrying over in between levels, and a save feature, and it also takes the mini-hubs from Kirby's adventure and consolidates them. In Dreamland 2, you know exactly how many levels there are because they're all right there on the screen. No secrets to unlock minigames, just a handful of stages in each level and a boss fight. That said, when you beat the boss, you can re-enter the boss room to take part in a special minigame themed around that boss's level. Although the basics are the same, there are a few main places where Dreamland 2 differentiates. For one, throughout the levels are these tiny stars. Collect 7 and you'll get an extra life. Additionally, Kirby can no longer run or do that little slide attack, so it's back to square one as far as that goes. The main addition, though, involves Kirby's new animal buddies. There's Rick the hamster, Coo the owl, and Kine the fish. Kine gives me some weird vibes. I don't like it. Each animal buddy has a specialty, so when they're teamed up with Kirby, they alter his abilities slightly. Coo can fly against strong wind currents, Kine can swim against strong water currents but is slow on land, and Rick's just kinda here, honestly. But he's adorable and he can jump pretty high, so I don't mind that. You'll find each of them captured in these bags hidden throughout the levels, and they'll be freed when you defeat all the enemies in the room. What makes these guys awesome is that each of them has a unique twist on every copy ability Kirby has. While Kirby doesn't have nearly as many copy abilities as in Adventure, mainly moving back to the basics, this allows there to be a huge variety in gameplay, and it's a really smart way to encourage some replayability. They're also horrifying at times. Jesus, look at Kine's face. He's either always got a blank stare on his face or he's on the verge of tears. God. If you already have an animal buddy and you run into a bag, and that bag would also have that same buddy, this little goo guy will appear instead and give you some health. Whatever you do, don't dismount your buddy thinking that he's a secret 4th animal buddy like I did the first time. I am dumb. Occasionally that little blob guy will be a blob girl instead, and collecting her counts towards 100% completion for some reason. Your animal buddy also has a separate set of health when you team up, meaning that at max you have 12 hits before you lose a life. As you could expect, you really don't ever need that many hits though, the game doesn't really get hard at all until the end. Near the end, it'll start throwing some outright unfair segments like these auto-scroll segments where you'll just have to guess and hope you choose the right path because otherwise you're dead, but even that's just brute memorization though. It's not good game design, but it's not difficult either. Random crap like that aside, this game is easy unless you're going for the true ending. If you are, you need to find one rainbow drop hidden in each world. These are often ridiculously out of the way, and it usually requires a very specific power-up and animal buddy combo to get to them. For example, in one you need the parasol to break some blocks in your way, in another you need Rick and the shock power. Then there's the straight-up bullshit one. You need to take Kine with you above water on an ice level, meaning he's slow and there's ice physics, but you also need to make sure you have the fire power-up. And then you need to work your way through about half the level without getting hit so you don't lose that power up and risk it disappearing. When you get to your destination, you need to melt these blocks, kill these 2 enemies, and then drop your power up in the water, eat 1 block, then quickly eat the fire power up again before it disappears, and then drop it again and eat another block so you can squeeze through, then eat the fire power up 1 more time. And if you lose Kine, prepare to trek back all the way to World 2 and fight the stupid squid boss 1 more time just to get him easily. It's so out of the way and ridiculously precise, I see no reason why this should be in a Kirby game, and I cannot imagine having to do it on the original Game Boy without a guide. The only way that it could be worse is if you couldn't leave stages you've beaten already, and you had to complete the stage every time you messed up. The game gives you no indication of which copy ability or buddy you'll need, and more often than not you'll need to bring something from another level to actually get them. There's even another bad one that involves the most out-of-the-way sequence of events possible, using all 3 animal buddies in one level. It's just a total waste of time, all to unlock the true final boss. And speaking of those bosses, many of them are also taken from Kirby's Adventure and adapted slightly to fit the smaller screen size. It's worth noting though that if you die in a boss room, the game restarts you in the same room, so if you're having trouble and want to go back to get a copy ability or an animal buddy, too bad, suck it up or get a game over. None of them are really too much trouble though, so it shouldn't be a problem, but it's a very weird, questionable design choice. The true final boss, Dark Matter, can be tricky if you don't read his pattern well, but once you know that pattern, he's honestly kind of a pushover. It's not at all worth the time it took to unlock him in my opinion. The rainbow drops easily doubled my playtime due to just how out of the way and frustratingly specific they were, and it just sours the entire experience for me. If I'd just played Dreamland 2 without going for them, I think I'd just about give the gameplay a golden bolt. It's still on the shorter side, but it's incredibly fun, and the animal buddies honestly add a ton of level variety and room for exploration that I didn't really expect. Within a good 20 minutes of looking for the rainbow drops, however, they made me actively look forward to when I'd be done playing the game. It absolutely ruined what was a great game for a payoff that's frustrating temporarily and hollow after that. Bronze Bolt. I feel this game looks both better and worse than Dreamland 1. Everything feels more polished, but it also looks simpler in general. The backgrounds simply aren't as pretty, they're very basic, and while that's not at all a big deal, it's a bit of a shame to take a step back after seeing how good the first Dreamland looked. Of course, this game is also significantly longer than Dreamland, and it doesn't lag at all in my experience, so function over form here is probably a good thing. Plus, there's also a lot more going on in the foreground to make up for the simpler backdrops. All of the copy abilities, all 3 animal buddies, and all the combinations of each look great. Rick, Koo, and Kine are all just as expressive as Kirby is, and all those little intro scenes are as good as ever. The soundtrack sadly didn't stick with me that well either, at least compared to either of the previous 2 games. I think that's because you're usually partnering up with an animal buddy and their theme supersedes the level themes. So while there are a lot more songs in this game compared to say Dreamland 1, I'm only hearing one of the 3 animal buddy themes or a boss theme for a good half of the game. For Rick and Kine, I can take or leave their themes, but Koo, oh my god, Koo's theme is fantastic. It's probably my favorite theme in the entire Kirby franchise so far. It's high impact, driving, and somehow nostalgic even though I hadn't played a Kirby game until well after his 20th birthday. I honestly used Koo whenever I could just to hear that theme. Dreamland 2 feels like a slight step back from the previous 2 games in my opinion, because of the game looking a bit simpler, because of it totally reusing many assets, and because it forces the buddy themes over the regular level themes. I just didn't connect with this one as well as I wanted to, and for that reason I'm going to give the presentation a silver bolt. Do not go for the true ending in Dreamland 2. It's not worth it. It's so not worth it that it hurt my overall opinion about the entire game just by virtue of it existing. If you're gonna play Dreamland 2, and I still do recommend you try it for what the animal buddies bring to the table, just absolutely skip the rainbow drops, unless you want to be frustrated. Even then, there are better games to get mad at than Kirby. You shouldn't be getting mad at Kirby, it's meant to be relaxing. The game's $4 on the 3DS eShop, and physical copies go for about $10 online if you want to play it on a Game Boy. And there's still always the Dream Collection for Wii, like I'm playing it here. And with this chapter closed, we are halfway done with the Kirby's Dream Collection Marathon, but this is the last handheld game we're going to be covering for now. The last 3 games we're talking about are all on console, so join me next week when we tackle the big one, Kirby Superstar on the Super Nintendo. As always, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button, and if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. As always though, stay golden. Have you ever wanted to chat with me about a game I reviewed, or maybe about games in general? You should check out the official Golden Bolt Discord server. I'm pretty much there all the time, and you can chat with me or your fellow Golden Bolt viewers. The link is in the description.